This episode of the MLB Guardcast is sponsored by Sadnap Studios. Are you in need of assistance when it comes to digital arts, logo creation, website design, brand building, or designing merch? Then look no further than Sadnap Studios. The team at Sadnap Studios wants to help and make your dreams into reality. Everything is original and organically created, nothing AI. You can follow them and check out some of their incredible work on Instagram at sadnap_studios_art drop. Thanks again to the folks at Sadnap Studios. Go Guards. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for another episode of the MLB Guardcast, episode number 26. I am Mike Vorhies, not Barry White. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Bryan Shaw. Sir, what are we doing? What is going on?
Just beating all the teams in baseball.
We have the best team in baseball right now, the Cleveland Guardians, 17-6. Did anybody have that on their bingo card? I did not.
It's their best record ever
this is incredible.
Over 23 games.
Yeah, I read that it's their best start in their 124 years of existence.
Tied with two other teams, I believe.
That's insane. Like this, the guys, you buckle up like that. I love using that phrase, but my goodness.
The game last night. I think there's some spots that they can get better. I think there's room for improvement.
Wait, we can get better? How exactly do we get better?
I'll get into it.
17-6, currently in a series with the Boston Red Sox at home. Brian was at the game last night. It was rainy in Cleveland. They were able to get the game in. It was a pitcher's duel for 7 innings. That was great.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me it was Ben Lively and Tanner Houck, I would have laughed at you, although Tanner Houck handcuffed us the last time he pitched against us in Boston.
He did. And we got to him late, and then they brought in the bullpen, and they added a couple of insurance runs. You know how Shane Bieber and Justin Bieber, would get confused by people,
yeah.
and Shane had the not Justin.
Shane, not Justin, yep.
Yeah. I legitimately almost called Ben Lively Blake Lively.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna call him a female. That's no, don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
So I gotta make sure we watch out for that one. But yeah, almost called
Where
Ben
did
Lively
he
Blake.
come from? Ben Lively now, his 2 starts. I'm gonna let you take a minute. You've earned this one. Take a minute. Take a bow. I mean, you called this, and I thought you were crazy.
Now,
go ahead. I didn't take a minute.
I won't say I expected this out of him. What I did say was, when we thought the rotation was going to be what it was going to be, which was Bieber, Tristan, and the 3 second-year players, Williams, Bybee, Logan Allen, we needed a 6th starter. And that 6th starter going into the offseason was Cal Quantrill. And Cal was due, $8 million in arbitration?
Something like that, yeah.
And they traded him. And then they brought in Ben Lively. And when you compared the two's numbers, their advanced metrics, Ben Lively's advanced metrics were better than Cal Quantrill's last year. So my logic was basically, if that allowed you to reinvest in the roster and not spend $8 million on a 6th man in the rotation, and for basically the same metrics, then it makes sense for what they're doing. Then they also added Carlos Carrasco. So you added another guy who was in the same mold. Now, both of them end up making the team because you had sickness and injuries and all sorts of other stuff.
Right.
But it's working out quite nicely. And now, guys have had to step up. Lively is no longer the 6th starter, or maybe he still will be with Gavin Williams coming back here soon. But they've had to step up now with Shane Bieber going down. And that was the other part of it too, was you needed depth. You needed pitching depth. So I didn't dislike the move. I know it was one of those things where, like, people saw that we made a free agent signing and he signed for like less than $1 million, and they were like, "Who's this goon?"
Yeah.
And they weren't happy
I
about
was
it.
one of those. I was one of those people.
But
I'm
sometimes
assuming.
I mean, these were the kind of moves that we said that they make, like these, invite to spring training, Carlos Carrasco, Tyler Beatty,
Yeah.
Ben Lively kind of moves. I mean, not Davison De Los Santos, Angel De Los, Angel De Los Santos
Yes,
was the
the
same
current Padre. Yes.
was the same kind of thing. He was a throwaway player from like Pittsburgh, and they grabbed
He
him.
was a Rule 5. He was a Rule 5 pickup, I believe, originally.
Well, but then for Cleveland, when we got him, I think he was just off the scrap heap, and they invited him to spring training, and they turned him into a nice
A
middle reliever.
dominant. Yes, he's a nice back end of the bullpen kind of guy.
So if that movement of money allowed you to go get Scott Barlow and fortify that bullpen, which by the way, the bullpen is second in ERA in Major League Baseball. If that allowed you to do that, I thought it was a good move. Now, Ben Lively has had very, very good starts in his first two starts against a not so great Red Sox offense, but I think overall, like you can be happy about what you've accomplished with him so far, and hopefully it continues.
I was stunned. I mean, watching his opening start in Boston, the questionable bulk call that let a run in, and that still to me, I guess I don't understand what a balk is, but
Nobody
um,
understands what a balk is.
great, great start. He follows it up, first start at home, does amazing. I mean, obviously we're going to roll with 6 starters, I think, going forward, even if when Gavin Williams joins the team, I think so that you can protect those young guys and they're not throwing 200 plus innings and you can kind of save them. Why not go with 6? I mean, for the record, you'll find this entertaining. Cal Quantrill is 0-2 and his earn run average is just under 6.
I mean, he's also
But
in Colorado.
he is pitching in probably one of the worst parks in the world, and that's Colorado. But and Nolan Jones isn't off to a very good start either. So we'll put that under our hats
Yeah,
as
I
well.
saw some people taking victory laps with Will Benson and Nolan Jones right now. I think that's a little premature. Let's give
Hmm.
them, maybe a month to get started.
Especially
But
Will Benson, he'll get it going. I have a feeling. So
but I mean, so let's recap some of the numbers of what the best team in baseball is doing right now. And this is largely, I think, a pitching thing more so than it is an offensive thing. But
I think it's the for the offense, it's been timely hitting,
yes.
and our astronomical numbers with runners in scoring position is unbelievable.
So they are third in overall ERA. The starters are ninth in ERA. I mentioned the bullpen being second in ERA. The pitching staff as a whole is third in strikeouts per 9 innings. They've
Oh
given
wow.
up the least amount of hits in Major League Baseball. Batters against our pitching staff have the lowest average exit velocity, meaning they have the weakest contact. And there's one little blip where there could be some improvement. They're 20th in walks. They can improve the
Yeah,
walks a little bit.
we have walked quite a few. I've noticed that, but we've been able to get out of it. And
Yeah.
when there's been
And
runners
that's
on,
exceptional
and
defense. I
yeah,
I should look up, if you can, real quick while I continue to go through these. Look up double plays if you could.
I
I'm
can.
curious how where we are in double plays turned, because I feel like we've got quite a few of those with our great defense. But the offense has also stepped up, and the offense is third in runs per game right now. I think there was only two other teams that were in the top 10 of both categories. It was the Royals and the Padres were also in the top 10 of runs per game and ERA. Now, to compare that, being third in runs per game, obviously there might be some regression to the mean there, but they were fourth last season in runs per game, Mike.
Oh wow,
So
that's insane.
to be
Wow.
third is a huge jump. And in our preview show, when we had Marco on and we kind of detailed like, okay, where does this team need to improve, like positionally? And where does offense need to improve? Like we weren't worried about guys like Jose and Jimenez and Quan and uh, Josh Naylor and things like that. But DH, I had mentioned, was one of the worst production wise last year. Right field was one of the worst production wise. Center field was one of the worst production wise. Um, they have improved to close to average in those three positions offensively. Center field, which has primarily been Tyler Freeman, but you've seen some Ramon Laureano out there. You've seen some Estevan Florial out there. They've brought up their center field offense to 13th in weighted on base average. It was third last year. Right field is 15th, and then the DH production is 19th. And the DH production was last. So to go from last to 19th isn't a huge jump, but it's enough of a jump in those spots, in those three positions where you were basically in the bottom of the basement of offensive production. That is a big significant difference where you're getting better production out of your team. You have a more well-rounded team. You don't have three spots in the lineup anymore that are basically automatic outs.
Yeah, we're it looks like we're 14th in baseball in double plays turned.
14th in base in double plays. Okay, so right in the middle. But you get what I mean here. Like if just like I said, by a little bit of a more proper utilization of players, putting players in better position to succeed, like your David Fries, your Will Brennans, and players like that, and putting them in those proper spots, you've taken offensively the worst positions and made them league average. And
Yeah.
by doing that, that has changed your offense top to bottom, and you're getting better production out of guys. Obviously, Estevan Florial hurt us last time, Mike, because since
Yeah,
then
I was
he's
gonna
on a
say
tear.
I need to take a moment and I need to apologize to Estevan Florial. I said in our last episode that the Guardians needed to designate you for assignment and call up somebody else. I was dead wrong. I'm glad you're here. Continue to do what you do. Moving on, Ramon Laureano, I'm talking to you. It's time to pick it up.
Well,
It's that
so
simple.
there's been a lot of talk, especially on Guardians Twitter, because where I've mentioned that this team could get better. There is a minor league baseball player that we've all been wanting to see for a while that is just ripping the cover off the ball. Kyle Manzardo has 21 hits, 5 home runs, batting at 304 with a 1,000 OPS. He might be ready.
I think it's coming. And I think what did Rosie say? He said June. He would he would think.
Yeah,
I
it
can't
could be
imagine they're
sooner.
gonna let Manzardo marinate in minor league baseball much longer.
So, but then the
So
question is, who do you option? Who do you move on from? You mentioned Ramon
yeah,
Laureano, but here's the thing. Here's my one gripe about what Stephen Vogt has done so far with this team. I don't think they're properly using Ramon Laureano.
correct.
His plate appearances against right-handed bats is almost double what it is against lefties. He's a
And he
career
mashes lefties.
he's a
Yeah.
career 120 WRC plus against lefties. He's playing too much against right-handed hitting for some reason.
Well,
And
where's Gabriel Arias been? Because we joked last year it was him facing lefties and not doing well, and facing righties barely. Like
and that was
Gabriel
and that was a
started
thing. Yeah.
right.
And
He
he's
started
improved
hot,
this
and now
season.
we've right,
And
and
now
he
they
should be playing more.
and so I do see a scenario. I'll be interested to see what does happen. I would be a little bit shocked if they did move on from Ramon Laureano because they paid him like what 5.5 million, I think, this year.
Yeah,
And so to move on from Straw's money, or to just basically eat Straw's money, to move on from Ramon Laureano when you're paying him 5.5, uh, I would be shocked that if they do that. However, I think his production can be if by removing the fifth outfielder and putting Kyle Manzardo in the lineup, and he's not going to play right field, obviously, but you do have Gabriel Arias, a right-handed bat. you do have David Fry, a right-handed bat, who could get more at-bats in that right
Right.
field spot. And so I don't think it would be an issue. And right now the target for Guardians Twitter and for who's going to go when it's Manzardo's turn is Ramon Laureano. So I think you're right. I think he needs to heed the warnings and step it up a little bit. But I would also like to see him be used properly too. I mean, he shouldn't be batting as much against right-handed hitting.
No, but let's talk about the offense. We've talked about how great our bullpen has been. Hopefully, Scott Barlow beginning to figure it out. I loved that Vogt used him in the seventh inning last night, and then went to Hunter Gaddis, and then went to Clase to finish it out. That's the order of operations that it needs to be if Barlow continues to succeed. Now, for this offense, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, that it's a different guy every game. It last night it was Will Brennan that started the rally in the bottom of the seventh with a double. It was Tyler Freeman getting a timely base hit up the middle to score Will Brennan. It was Estevan Florial hitting a double last night. It was Jose hitting a home run, but like every game it has been. For a couple games it was Josh Naylor, for a couple games it was Bo Naylor, for a couple games it was, fill in the blank.
Well, and that's what I
I,
mean by putting guys in position to succeed, batting them against the right matchups. You've lengthened this lineup and you've
oh
gotten
yeah.
that ability to that there's like it doesn't feel like there's automatic outs. There's no guy that comes up to the plate and you're like,
There's one, but he
"Wha-
doesn't play regularly, but that's okay. That's okay.
that's
He's not
fine.
here for his bat. I get that.
He's the clubhouse man.
Right.
He's the emotional leader.
And if
Which
those haven't figured it out yet, we are talking about Austin Hedges, but that's okay. We want him here and we need him here. So
well,
that's okay.
but I did see somebody had posted that Bo Naylor's framing right now is in like the top 10% of Major League Baseball. Where do you think
Nice.
he learned that from?
Uh-huh. Exactly. The guy that's in
Mhm.
the clubhouse. Yep.
Yeah. So there's perks to that, and that's why Hedges is here. And we had talked about that too, that Bo Naylor's production was going to be better than you know our Cam Gallagher's of last year, like and guys
Oh,
like that. And
we had different, yeah, we had different catchers galore. I was a little confused. They brought in David Fry to pinch hit last night, and then they put in David Fry catching. Austin Hedges didn't come in. I thought that was a little ironic. They would rather have David
I
Fry's bat in the lineup
well,
instead
it
of,
was the right matchup
oh
because it
yeah,
was against a lefty pitcher. And Fry is a perfectly capable catcher, and we saw that on that throw out to first
that
base.
was that was a thing of beauty.
So I think it's one of those instances that, like, Hedges is a bit older, and if it's Hedges' off day, it's Hedges' off day. You have that flexibility with David Fry being that hybrid, that super utility hybrid guy of catcher, first base, right field, left field, wherever. So they're playing great. There's it's really hard not to get excited and be excited. There was one other thing I wanted to mention too that I know I know people might say like let's pump the brakes here. It's April, whatever. Like, okay, great. Fine. It's April. They've won 17 games. Understood.
Yeah.
However, when it was 16 games, so 16 and 6, if they went just 500 the rest of the way, so 70 and 70, so if they were just a perfectly average baseball team that gets them to 86 wins, 86 wins is enough to make the playoffs. Two teams last year made the playoffs, the wild card with 84 wins, and the Twins won the division last year with 87. So all you're
Yeah,
asking them
the
is to
the
be an average
Twins,
baseball team the rest of the way.
I'm pretty confident I can say the Twins won't win the division this
No,
year.
I'm not concerned about that, but
I can say the same about the White Sox too. The White
yeah.
Sox are awful.
Oh,
They're the worst team in baseball right
here's
now.
another stat for you. You want a good one? I got a good one.
Sure, sure.
I'm just full of all this good stuff today. Here's
You
another good
are
one.
the resident statistician. This is what you do.
We have a longer winning streak than the White Sox have wins. That is not true for
Yeah.
anybody else in baseball. Every
Well,
other team has at least 6 wins, and
yeah.
nobody has a longer winning streak than the Guardians right now. So the
I mean,
Guardians,
yeah, this is incredible to watch. I mean, I understand that it's April. I get it. We're not used to them getting off to such a hot start like they have this year. What's going to tell the story is how do we finish the series with Boston? And then this weekend we get to travel down to the to the to the ATL and take on the NL's best team, the Atlanta Braves,
yeah,
which could be a repeat of the 95 World Series. I'm just saying. I'm interested to see how we play against the Braves.
that's gonna be, I think, a big test. You're right. That's absolutely gonna be a big test. But there's decisions coming here, and I like I said, there's room to improve. There's things that they
Yeah.
can do where they're gonna be able to get better. We have Gavin Williams coming back. We have Sam Henches coming back.
Yeah, he's ready.
Then you have the potential call up eventually of Kyle Manzardo. So there's places where you can improve. Or if you just improve a little bit on, that walk rate or
Yeah.
and things like that, which I think you'll be able to do because guys are going to settle in a little bit more. Players like even Lively, I think in his first start, didn't he have a few walks against Boston?
Yeah.
And
He did.
Carrasco in his last outing had a few too many walks. If you just improve a little bit on those,
Same with Tanner Bybee. I
yeah.
mean,
And
these
then
guys have
he turned it
Tristan
around this last
McKenzie. I
start.
mean, yeah. I
So,
wanted to ask you real quick about Tristan McKenzie. We know the report broke that he's and I love clickbait media. It's fantastic. It gets everybody talking, it gets everybody fired up. Will Tristan McKenzie undergo surgery? What is your thought on this? Do you think that he's not where he wants to be and he could potentially take the Shane Bieber route and just go get Tommy John so that he's ready for next year, or is he going to continue to fight through this?
I read the article and I got a different vibe from the article and what his interview said and what he said in his interview versus
This
what
is Jason Lloyd, correct?
and Zach Meisel's, yes,
And
the
yep,
athletic article, yes. The headline said like he has a tear in his UCL and, and it talked about like, does he regret not getting Tommy John last year and trying to rehab through it? My takeaway from it was his lower velocity, he's not attributing to the injury. He says he's not in any pain and he's comfortable with his decision for what he's doing and he thinks the velocity will return as he slowly starts to ramp up because remember he missed basically all of last season. What did he have? 2 starts, 3 starts?
yeah, he didn't have very many.
So I think his point is that he's still kind of ramping up to get that velocity back, and that if he's not feeling pain and he's not having the issues that Shane had, where it's hard for him to recover after a start, he doesn't want to have the surgery just to have the surgery. That is what my takeaway was from that article.
And I'll tell you what, McKenzie, we're going to need him. We're going to lean on him heavy, I think, as the season progresses. Adding the arm of Gavin Williams, if Cookie stays the way he's going, and Tanner Bybee right now, I'm sorry, he's probably the best pitcher on the staff
Well,
right
and
now.
and that may be, and that was kind of going to be my next point. And so, but you segued it perfectly. Is that yeah, maybe the expectations for Tristan are just a little bit less. Maybe he's more of a third or fourth guy now, as opposed to that future ace that you were hoping. And what are the reasons for all these elbow injuries? Who knows? I heard on the radio a retired pitcher. I forget exactly who it was, like a Greg Maddux kind of type, somebody from like the 90s, 80s era of pitching that said that they didn't think it had anything to do with pitch clock or pitching speed. He said it was because he doesn't think pitchers use their legs as much as they used to.
That's
Well,
possible.
and then think of a pitcher like Tristan, who's doesn't have a whole lot of leg meat, and so there's not a lot of leg muscle to to
That's
use.
we
So,
we call him Sticks for a reason. Like that's the name he's earned. I will
so
say this before we went ready to record. Uh, Blake Snell, who waited so long to get signed, went to the San Francisco Giants. He's now on the injured list. They placed him on the injured list today. He has an issue with his shoulder.
oh, shoulder. Okay, yeah.
So,
I mean,
I mean,
shoulders are the other
it's
one. Thankfully,
yeah,
thankfully the other injuries, Sam Henches, he had some bruising in his finger. Uh, Gavin Williams, his elbow injury, they're being just extra cautious for because he had an awkward throw with a weighted ball. So, he did something dumb and tossed a weighted ball funny. That wasn't like something that happened while he was like actually on the mound. So,
wasn't like Zach Plesac taking off his jersey and breaking his finger
oh, or punching the mound. No, I
or
I mean,
punching the mound.
but what I mean is
Sorry,
there's
I had
well
to.
there's that one too. But there
Yeah,
was my point is that there's less concern that Gavin's injury would be like a long-term thing. It was kind
yeah.
of like a little bit of a freak accident, oops, I did something I shouldn't have done kind of thing. So they're going to be back. And I mean, how can you not be excited right now? I
Yeah.
think we just need a little bit of warmer weather because these guys warm up when the weather warms up.
Yeah.
And this place is going to be rocking and rolling. I can't wait
Well, I'll
to
say
really
this,
start to see some Friday and Saturday crowds at Progressive Field.
the correct injury status for Blake Snell is an adductor strain. So,
Isn't that a hip thing?
let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
In my doctor knowledge,
Uh, let's see.
is there a
I'm looking.
shoulder adductor?
I don't know. I I'm not a big fan. So I'm not a medical guy. Um, I thought it
Shoulder
was in your shoulder.
adductors.
I thought it was in his shoulder, but I could be dead wrong.
There are shoulder adductors.
I think that's what it is. So, and
Okay.
then big news for Boston. Boston Red Sox have placed their stud pitcher Brian Bello on the injured list due to tightness in his lat. So I believe he was supposed to start tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
I knew they were going bullpen.
Yeah, Zach Kelly has been recalled to take Bello's spot on the roster. So there you go. I mean, injuries are at an all-time high for pitchers this year. I mean, it's crazy. It seems like it's every day there's a new pitcher that's injured. So I will say you're going to Atlanta this weekend. You're going to catch
Yes.
the
I'll be seeing
Braves.
Saturday's game in Atlanta.
Cannot
I'll be
wait.
I'll
Let's
be
go.
checking another ballpark off of my list. I'm going to Colorado later this year, so
Nice.
that'll be one more. Oh, this is again nice segue. It's like we talked about this, but we really didn't.
We actually didn't.
So last year I went to Boston and New York,
Yeah.
and uh, obviously I've dabbled in meteorology for a time. I
You
was
are our
convinced
resident meteorologist,
I
so
was
yes.
convinced that they were not going to play yesterday. I mean,
Me neither.
they have canceled for far less.
Yeah.
And I was at that game and it rained the entire time. Just nonstop, sometimes heavier than other times, but it was cold, it was damp, and it was miserable. The reason I bring this up, and I did mention to you briefly, and you said, wait, save it for the pod. I had
Save it
a
for the pod.
theory
Yep.
about why they played that game yesterday. When I
Why is
went to
that?
when I went to Boston last year, we played two of the most miserable weather games in Boston where the weather was exactly like that. And I feel like this was a dish best served cold. This was revenge, where the Guardians were
Well,
like,
well.
if you're gonna make us play in this crap, we're gonna make you play in this crap. And
Well,
I just wonder. I
I'm
just wonder.
glad you could be on to something. I hope that's not true, but you definitely could be on to something. Again, the Guardians 17-6. They'll take on the Red Sox again tonight at Progressive Field. Yesterday's game went by way too quick. I turned it on and it was already in like the fourth inning. And I'm like, how did we get this far this fast? But I love it.
Because it was
Yeah,
like you
it's the
said, it was a
pitcher's duel.
pitcher's duel. It was Hauk
Yeah.
against Lively again, and the first one was under 2 hours,
Yeah. It
and
was
there
the
was barely
shortest
any
game
hits.
in a long time.
There was barely
But
any hints
hey,
until the end, but they pulled it
buckle up,
through. That's the other part
buckle
of
up,
what they
fans.
do.
This is we go quick. That's all there is to it. I was looking to see if they have named starters for tonight. They have Cookie Carrasco on the bump for the Guardians. He'll take on Criswell. I don't know what his first name is, but that's Boston's pitcher. Let's see quickly. Criswell will get the start.
You got the lineup
Lineups.
for us?
I do not have the Guardians lineup. Boston's running it back with Duran in center, Devers at DH, O'Neill in left, Abreu in right, Valdez at second, Wong behind the plate, Reyes at third, Dahlbeck at first, and Rafaela at short. So the Guardians are going to have to announce their lineup here very, very soon. They have
Well,
not as of yet.
he's a right-hander, so it's gonna be their lefty lineup. So Will
Going to be
Brennan
the
will
lefty
probably
lineup.
be, I'd say Will Brennan and Florial will play center and right field possibly.
Yep.
You'll have Bo Naylor should be catching.
Yep. Josh Naylor's at first, Jose's at third, Rocchio's at short, Jimenez at second, and then you've got Quan in left. That's your lineup for tonight, folks.
Yeah, I'm guessing. And then
Brian Shaw just broke it down for us real quick.
and
It was great.
then who and then maybe
Could we
and
potentially see
then
Gabriel Arias maybe as the
yeah, as the
DH tonight?
DH. I was gonna say who DH is. Maybe Arias. Yeah, Arias is
Maybe.
DH. Or some
Or
combination of
maybe
that. Like
Josh
if
Naylor is the DH and Arias
right,
plays first. Who
right.
knows? I mean,
Something like that.
it's
Yeah.
the Guardians. We love it. We have a lot of moving pieces. It's a chess game, and I love it. I will be a pawn any day of the week for this Guardians team. Again, 17-6, best record in baseball. Brian, always love talking Guardians with you. I'm excited. I'm not going to stop being excited. We're rolling into May, June, July. Let's go. This team is going to shock the world. I'm saying it now. I'm saying it early so that somebody can't come back and say that I never said it. April 24th, 2024, this Guardians team is going to shock the world.
I hope so. I'm excited for a good summer, and there's not a lot better than summer baseball at the ballpark when this team is rocking and rolling. So I hope things get rolling into June and July, and we get those, like I said, just those beautiful afternoons. Friday fireworks at the ballpark, Guardians wins, and just keep rolling. And they're not going to keep up a 750 winning percentage, but
Bite your tongue. Bite
even
your
if they're
tongue. We
winning,
don't know what they're going to do.
even if they win 6 out of 10 the rest of the way,
Yeah.
they're looking great. I mean, you can't.
If we can go 6-4 in for the rest of the way, I'll be ecstatic. I
Yeah,
realize we're not going to run off 7, 8 game win streaks every time, but this is a whole lot of fun. After the Braves,
and they're having
the
fun,
Guardian
and you can tell
will
that.
play the Trash Pandas. Oh, I'm sorry, the Houston Astros, not the Trash Pandas. Pretty close, but we'll go to Houston after Atlanta. So yeah, this team's going to play. I know Houston's had a down season as well. They've been bitten by the injury bug in their starting rotation, so that's fine.
Well, and
Let's kick them.
they're
Let's
just
kick them while they're down.
they're getting old. They're
They
starting to
are.
get old. So
Let's kick them while they're down. I can't wait. We'll talk to you guys in about 2 weeks. We'll check back. We'll find out how the trip went for Brian down in Atlanta. Truist Park, I believe, is what it's called. It used to be. It may not be anymore. I'm not 100% on that, but still a beautiful ballpark. Can't wait.
I'll have
Go
pictures.
Guards.
All right, go Guards.
Go Guards. We'll see you next time.